Ooh, what can I say? I love pulseras. Call it the Mexican material girl in me, but I just love wearing something cute that reminds me of Mexico. And my boy Berto does a really good job of making stuff that you can wear if you're still in the broom closet, or if you're like me and you want to let your inner bruja roar. And if that's not what you're looking for, if you're looking for someone to do tarot readings, well, Berto does those too. And let me tell you, he's really accurate. Every time that I have lost something, I message him, and within 2 minutes after his reading, I find it. He's gifted. So please check out Las Flores de Guadalupe, Berto's shop. See what magic he can whip up for you. Hola, bienvenidos, and welcome to another episode of Tu Tía Bruja. I'm Bex Carlos, your host. Wow is all I can say. Last week has been really impressive as far as listens. We gained 3,000 listens in a week, which is slightly above normal. And I want to thank all the folks tuning in from Australia, Canada, Finland, and Spain. Always happy and thankful to reach out and meet radical witches and brujis all over the world. And I'm glad that this show in some way has connected and resonated and passed along a message to you that perhaps you needed the universe to tell you. It's really humbling to be used as a vessel for the universe. So thank you for tuning in. It's interesting because right now we have the sun in Aries, we have Mercury in Aries, and we have the moon in Taurus, which is funny because just not too long ago, it was also in Aries, and that was on March 31st. And the first 10 days of Aries season came in hard. And I feel like, maybe a lot of people had a lot of stuff that they were kind of like, they knew was wrong, but had been putting off. And the universe really just reminded you. I definitely felt that a little bit. But we are realizing collectively that we are strong and we have to create some boundaries and understand who we are. So hopefully you're taking some time to rest and heal some gross stuff, because I think that sometimes it's really easy to carry stuff that isn't even ours, like it's stuff we've been told or ideas we've held that we just know aren't beneficial to us anymore. Now is a time to be planting seeds. It's a really good time to let our passion, let that Mars energy of Aries really fuel us, because I think our passions do fuel us, and I understand that people, they don't really want to let their passions be their way of making money. I understand that. But even in your personal life, really take up hobbies, really explore things that make you happy and that you really enjoy. It's important to fulfill a lot of those passions that we have. It's our inner child that needs to be heard and seen. And there's a very powerful medicine in being heard and seen. And, I think that that's a big part of this podcast is I want you to have someone that helps you understand that you're not alone, because I am your Tia Bruja. I have all of these different interests that I like, and that for a long time I thought made me weird, and maybe you felt that too, or really just want to hear a cool story. That's fine too. So here we talk true crime, witchcraft, all these different aspects of magic. Different practitioners of color come on, marginalized practitioners come on, and I also share some cool cannabis recipes. That is something that I love for us. That's what we do here. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to create this content and connect with y'all and really be humbled and proud of myself, because this didn't just happen overnight. Like I had to build and learn and do so many things to get here. Life got me here. And some of you have been rocking with me since the very, very beginning. And I'm so thankful that you're here. And some of you have met me along the way. I'm really thankful for any point in which I've been there for you and you've listened to me and I've created some sort of comfort for you. So this is a little bit of a let me tell you about myself episode. Before I started this podcast, let's take it back to when I was a teenager, right? I'm watching Ugly Betty right now, and I'm remembering that this is one of the first times in television I really felt seen, because she was ambitious and she was smart and she just never quit. And she had all these things that she was passionate about, and social justice was something she cared about, and being respectful of different traditions and cultures. And I loved that. Also, isn't it fucking shady that they try to convince us that America Ferrera was ugly? Whatever. I really resonated with that show, and I'm rewatching it. And when I was a teenager, I was someone who was very interested in punk rock music and just rock music, period, because I started going to concerts. And I remember I loved Block Party, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, New Young Pony Club, Santi Gold, and another one that I really enjoyed, TV on the radio, from like 2001, 2002 to probably like 2009, 2010. There was just so many cool things and musicians on the scene that were coming out. And in a lot of ways, I think that the kind of music that I was listening to, garage band revival, indie, and music was always very comforting and self-soothing for me. Like, I feel like I was able to listen to music and just chill out, not feel so alone in the world. It's my way of feeling seen and heard. That was something I really enjoyed, and I was never particularly a musician myself. My father is, a lot of my extended family, they tried to really get us involved in music, but it just never really stuck with me. And I was always more of a fan of being surrounded by musicians. My friends in high school were all musicians. I went to a lot of shows, and I just felt like there was something there, right? And originally I went to college for psychology, but I decided I didn't want to do that. And I took some time and I went to St. Louis Community College, Florissant Valley, and I had so many opportunities there and so many amazing teachers there. Shout out to Renee Thomas Woods. Shout out to Steve Bay. I feel like they were really amazing mentors in a time where I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. You know, I was there for a little bit, then I was at SEMO in Cape Girardeau, and that was interesting because Cape Girardeau is tied to Rush Limbaugh. I worked at the student run radio station, Rage 1037. I worked at Mix 96.5, which was the pop station for a few years while in college. So that was really helpful. And out of college, I think all of that accumulated experience led to having a job at 1057 The Point, which allowed me to fulfill my alt girl indie rock goddess fantasies. But I also think that having that dream job that I wanted so early on in life made a lot of shit go to my head, and I was kind of self-destructive. I was not in an emotionally intelligent place at the time to handle everything that was happening and understand all the nuances of working in a office that is still very focused on partying and going out. And, you know, I worked at all of those different places when different things happened. Trayvon Martin was killed. Mike Brown was killed at the hands of police, and I had to hear a lot of ugly hot takes. I was let go from that job. Funny story, I was actually in my psychiatrist's waiting room when it happened, so probably the best place to be, right? If I'm going to have an emotional breakdown at being let go from my first job ever. I think that I needed to become a little bit more radicalized and understand that I didn't want to work at a space that was all about just continuing the rhythm of capitalism. I also honestly was kind of abused in these places. Like, I was exploited and I was paid barely nothing and had to do a lot of work. Like, I was told that at one point I sounded like a sex worker. One of my coworkers told me not to send nudes jokingly. I remember at one point I had mentioned to one of the women I worked with, I was interested in writing a book about why people still do radio, you know? And her response to me was, "What makes you think you have the authority?" It was just really gross, you know? I just really quickly discovered that I didn't want to be doing that anymore, and it wasn't a safe space for me. It taught me that you really have to do research on opportunities to really be able to help yourself. It's funny because it really carried the energy of Gina Rodriguez telling that college student, "Mama, let's research." Because I think that sometimes you do have to research and figure out the things that are accessible to you, because sometimes we forget. After that, I was just soul searching. I did an AmeriCorps year, and I know that a lot of people have thoughts about AmeriCorps, and all are valid. My experience personally was very positive, and I learned a lot, and I think it's probably one of the reasons that I've become as radical as I have, because I saw the disparities that the community was impacted by. And, that's a privilege to learn that, right? Obviously, I realize that I have privilege, and I've since used the resources that I have to be able to help people for the better. And it's been very powerful. It's been very connecting. I do the best that I can to help people be more powerful in themselves. What I mean by that is, right, like someone had told me that I changed their life because I helped remind them that you can combine magic and social justice. And I'm really glad that I was able to make that light bulb go off. I think that's what magic is, right? Is like you make that connection on how you can connect various things. So whether it be you light candles for protesters if you can't go out personally, or you go out and you collect glass, hold on to some of that and some other herbs and whatnot in a protective satchel. There's so many things that you can do. There's so many different things you can try. Sometimes magic is about fuck around and find out, right? Try some different things and see what works and what doesn't work for you. I had to learn the hard way that sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to. It just really made me driven to figure out ways to still be able to create the content that I wanted to create and to free me to be able to say what I wanted to say. And that's how we've gotten here. And seeds are important to plant because if you don't make the efforts to do that, you never give yourself the opportunity to grow. I think that sometimes we stay in places, right, because it's just comfortable, but we need to realize that sometimes we have more purpose in our soul that we're keeping ourselves from achieving, maybe because we're scared. I think fear is like the most limiting thing ever, even if we don't think so. So remember, fear is also one of those things you have to pull at the root to get out to be able to bring in more abundance. And I don't just mean like abundance as far as like money and success. I mean abundance as far as like love and opportunities. And, I think that sometimes it's really easy to have a lot of fear around love. Love is a scary fucking thing. But we have to remember that, like, in order to be able to bring in all of the beautiful love and meet all of these people that really vibe at the frequency that we're currently at, we have to be able to let things go. So this is my reminder to you. Let go of things that no longer serve you. I hope that you are having a good week and that it's not a little too chaotic for you. I appreciate and value you. I hope you're enjoying these solo episodes. I think I'm going to have more of these in the future. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Yeah.